Good afternoon and welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us for the third of our Checkpoint Airwave sessions. My name is Reza Kazami and I am one of the pre-sales security consultants from Westcon, and with me today we have Ben Scollett from Checkpoint to talk us through the third in our series of talks today about Checkpoint's bundle of the topic today will be SandBlast Mobile, and this makes the third entry into our series of broadcasts that we've been having over the past month and a bit, discussing the offerings on show from Checkpoint, starting with the SMB gateways and then followed through to CloudGuard SaaS offerings, and now finalizing with the SandBlast mobile product. And then after this presentation, we will have another presentation future discussing how we can utilize all three of these products to form a complete bundle to secure your environment. But without any further talking, I'm just going to hand it back over to Ben, and he will talk you through today's presentation.
Hey guys, hope you're doing well. My name is Ben Scollett. I'm one of the SEs from Checkpoint in New Zealand. And today we're going to talk about a little bit about protecting your organization when it comes to mobiles, and how our product SandBlast Mobile can help you protect your corporate data and everything you do on your mobile device. So let's get started. So the first thing is, these days everything is connected. We can see that even with COVID kicking in this year, that everything's going beyond the perimeter. So we're seeing a lot more people using their mobile phones to do their work, even with their laptops, and just going beyond their corporate perimeter. And this caused a lot of problems for businesses, having to allow people to access their email on their phones or their laptops outside the perimeter, especially on the mobile side, being able to access your emails and your corporate data, with that, whether that be Office 365 or Box, or whatever application or web service you're trying to access, a lot of it's going to come from your mobile. And as we can see, 63% of all web traffic on the internet comes from mobile devices. And with that, companies are looking at bring your own devices or choose your own device or a hybrid program of both. And it presents a lot of challenges around the mobile sphere. So when we look at the mobile footprint inside the organization, there's a couple of things to look at and a couple of questions to ask yourself is, well, if you're an organization, what's your kind of device type and ownership model? Are you going to go with an Android device, or are you iOS? Are you going to bring your own device, or are you going to choose the device for your employee, or are you going to have it as a corporate device? And then when you've got the device, what are you going to be able to access from it? Are you going to be able to access emails or business apps, calendar, contacts, all that kind of stuff? And then it comes back to, well, if you're bringing your own device, or if we're giving you a device, who owns the mobile security on that point? Is it the CISO, the IT manager, or maybe there's a dedicated employee for that? Do you have a dedicated employee for that? A lot of questions to ask there. And what's your current approach at the moment? Because a lot of businesses already have something there. They might have been given a free tool, or they might have come with another security tool they came with, so getting something like Intune. So we have current mobile approaches where people are using MDMs or maybe third-party containers, and maybe even native enterprise, like Android enterprise solutions as well. And then there's also the remote access part as well. How do we secure it a little bit as well when we have your mobile? Is it with two-factor, VPN? There's a lot of questions to ask around this. And the reasons we have to ask these questions is because there's a lot more mobile threats coming around. And so if you haven't answered all those questions and been able to actually identify everything in your organization, how are you going to protect it? And we are seeing a lot more threats on the mobile sphere. So Checkpoint Research does a ton of research around iOS and Android research, both. Yeah, and that's right. That's the iOS and Android, because we do see a lot of attacks on iOS as well. And as we can see here, some of these are actually done by Checkpoint Research, and we're just seeing a lot more vulnerabilities come through. We're seeing a lot more adware come through on the mobile. We're even seeing techniques now to come through your MDM and then start infecting devices that way. So there's actually a lot of vulnerabilities on these platforms, but businesses haven't actually stepped up to the plate to actually protect their own corporate data when it's being accessed on a mobile device. So how is a mobile device getting infected? Well, we've got three ways that we can see that most devices are getting infected. One is through apps. So this is the first one's pretty obvious with through malicious apps. So apps that you might have thought have been legitimate, but they might not be exactly what you thought. Now, if you're a parent out there, you'll probably realize that you give your phone away to your kid for a bit, and boom, within about 5 minutes, they've downloaded 3 different games, games you never heard of, or 3 different applications to do weird and funny stuff. But now they're sitting on your phone, and you might be using that phone for work as well. So malicious apps is definitely one of those ways. Even if they come through the Play Store, it's not always guaranteed that they're legit, even though the Play Store does guarantee that they scan it and make sure that there's no bad stuff in there. We are finding more and more now that apps on the Play Store can still be infected, even though they've been scanned by the Google Play Store. The next is exploiting the privileges within the app. So you might install an app and it might not do anything until you actually give it a whole lot of access privileges. So it might be just a photo gallery app, but it's asking for your camera, your microphone, your gallery, your files, your contacts. It's asking for a whole lot of stuff it doesn't need. And so we can see apps starting to exploit these privileges and take your data when it's not needed. And then vulnerable apps as well, apps that can be exploited by hackers and apps that can root or jailbreak the device. The next one is with networks. So with your mobile device, you're always connecting to different types of networks. Either you've got your 4G connection, or a lot of the time, especially when you're traveling overseas, you'll probably be connecting into free Wi-Fi's a lot of the time. And so with this, we can see attacks like man-in-the-middle attacks or SSL bumping as well. So when you hook into a new network and it's not the network you thought it was, or they're actually intercepting your traffic and actually having a look of what you're sending. This is definitely a possibility. We actually had one of our checkpoint employees when she first started. She was going through a Turkish airport, hooked into the free Wi-Fi because she didn't have a SIM card when she was over in Turkey, and boom, SandBlast Mobile pops up. Hey, you're actually being SSL bumped here, so you need to watch out for that. And it stopped her from actually going into that network, which is quite handy. We also see a lot of malicious URLs, so and phishing as well. So we see this a lot on the endpoint, and we talk a lot about this on the endpoint, getting a phishing attacks from through your email. But now, since we're accessing email and we also have got extra points of contact with texting as well, and WhatsApp and all these other ones, people are able to send you malicious links and phishing links as well. And it becomes harder and harder to block when you're on a mobile device. So we need something there to be able to protect us there. And then also on the device and the OS, on the OS as well, making sure that there's no misconfigurations. Making sure that, especially on iOS, making sure that if you've been sent a profile and you click on it and it goes and installs a whole lot of VPNs and other things and suspicious things on your iOS device, you need to make sure that's not there. Rooting and jailbreaking, especially prevalent on Android systems, with especially us tech gurus. We like to be able to customize our devices. So being able to jailbreak and root gives us extra access to doing cool stuff, but it also allows a lot of unintended consequences. And then also outdated OSs. We're seeing a lot of vulnerabilities for older phones. And these days, phones are only updated for 2 to 3 years at the maximum, especially on the Android side. So being able to protect your Android device, even though it's out of date from the OS, and making sure you can enforce good business practices on older devices. And this has, pushing the wrong button here, Ben. And this has massive damage on your business. This can lead to compromised emails, stolen credentials, device takeover, data theft, and not really common in New Zealand, but it's becoming more and more of a conversation now around GDPR, making sure that if you've got anyone from the European Union, that you're protecting your organization's sensitive data and making sure you're protecting those employees. And as I keep alluding to, iOS is not safe. So if you look at cvedetails.com, a website that aggregates a lot of the common vulnerabilities and exposures, or CVEs, from 2009 to 2019, in April, there were a total of 3,661 CVEs published for iOS. And if you look at Android, it was only 2,091 CVEs. So there's a lot of CVEs that people don't even realize is out there for iOS, and people think it's protected, there's no vulnerabilities, that can't be hacked or anything like that. the reality is they might not come through the front door like they can on an Android phone, but they're going around your traditional security perimeter and still being able to get you with phishing links and even vulnerabilities out there. There's also iOS malicious certificates. So as I mentioned, sometimes when you install a certificate from the internet or someone else, these can actually create profiles that can actually start sidestepping the security practices on your phone, especially for organizations, and allows profiles that are malicious. And then the last one is humans. Pretty much same with Android, same with every platform, and humans are the weakest links. So when it comes to phishing websites or credential theft or even downloading malicious content or logging into a free Wi-Fi, humans are the weakest link, and we need to be able to protect our employees from accidentally clicking things or thinking things are legitimate when they're not. So the thing is, when it comes to security on a mobile device, we don't want to use the wrong tool for the job. We see a lot of businesses out there saying, look, we're protected, we've got an MDM solution out there, and it can protect everything that we do. And then we ask them, oh, so what happens when you do have bring your own device? Oh, we don't care about that. That's not our problem. Oh, but can they access your email? Yeah, they can. But all the corporate devices that we manage, oh yeah, they're very secure. But then you ask them, are they doing antivirus scanning? Can they protect you from phishing? And you start asking more questions around all these other vectors that they didn't think of before, and suddenly they go, oh, okay, my MDM is good for certain things, and we recommend having the MDM. It's a great solution for being able to manage your mobile fleet, but it doesn't address the security conversation fully. There's still gaps that you need to be able to protect. And that's where SandBlast Mobile steps in. So we are the leader in mobile security. So this has got true threat prevention. It's real-time visibility into attacks on your mobile devices, and it's a really simple, easy user interface. Excuse me, both for the user and for the admin. It's really a piece of cake to use. So SandBlast Mobile, this is how we prevent an attack. So, these are the things that we can do with SandBlast Mobile. So the first thing it does is it prevents malicious app downloads. So we're making sure that the apps you're downloading, that we have a look at them as well, making sure we use all of our threat prevention capabilities, and making sure the apps that you download are actually the apps you want to download, and that they're not risky in any way. It prevents phishing across all apps. So no matter where someone sends you an URL and you go to click on it, especially with things like smishing, so SMS-based phishing, or if an URL comes and someone's pasted something in your WhatsApp group, or someone sent you something over WhatsApp and you click it, making sure that any link that someone sends you, you are being able to be protected against. The next is being able to be prevented against man-in-the-middle attacks. So if you are logging onto those rogue Wi-Fis and you don't realize, being able to pick that up straight away, even if it's things like SSL bumping, or they've just intercepting your SSL traffic, being able to pick that up is really handy. The fourth one is blocks infected devices from accessing corporate apps. So this is a really big benefit here. So if you do have a device that is compromised or is got a configuration that could allow it to be very easily compromised, being able to block that from your network and your corporate apps very easily, and being able to actually feed that into your MDM solution if you have one, or not if you don't. And then also being able to pick up OS exploits as well. And the key visibility from here is it gives you full visibility of incoming mobile threats. It's really simple to deploy. We've got a couple of solutions to do that. It makes it really nice and easy. We leverage the world's largest threat intelligence database, which is Threat Cloud. We do about 86 billion security decisions a day, which is massive. When you compare that to something like Google, which they do 6 billion searches a day, we're doing a lot of security decisions just in one day. And we also make sure that your data that is on your phone and the data that is used by SandBlast Mobile stays within your company policy, especially with GDPR. And we've got some really cool stuff that we do around that to make sure that you are protected. And just to give you a kind of a checklist of what we've got built into SandBlast Mobile, as you can see here, we've got zero-day malware threat prevention. We can protect you from infected apps, man-in-the-middle attacks, attacks of Bluetooth, making sure that the websites you're going to are legitimate with secure browsing, any SMS kinds of attacks, OS exploits, and device settings. We can check that all, make sure that's legitimate and safe for you. So how does our SandBlast mobile application work? So firstly, you have your mobile phone, you install our SandBlast mobile app. Now we can send you a link to go download from the Play Store, or we can push that out through an MDM. Whatever's the easiest way to do it, we can push that out, and that can talk to our threat cloud. And so we protect you on the OS level, making sure that OS exploits and vulnerabilities, we report them when we understand what they are. We also look at OS misconfigurations and checking if the device has been jailbroken or rooted. The next thing that we do is something called app protection. With app protection, what that does is when you download an app, we also download it in the background. And we download it through our threat cloud, and we use a system called our behavioral risk engine. And what that does is it uses machine learning, AI, and all the cool keywords that you hear these days. And then we actually look into the app itself and actually figure out, is this an app that is legitimate? Is it an app that is safe for you to download? And we'll give it a risk. And based on that risk, you can then either have it download onto your system, or we can block it and tell you, no, it's not a great app to download. And we can send detailed app analysis to the user around the apps that you are downloading, so the user has full visibility of what's happening. And then we have all of our network prevention systems as well, being able to do anti-phishing. So if you are going to a website that is trying to make you put your ASB credentials in, or your Westpac credentials in, that we are scanning that website first time and looking at that URL, making sure it's not a phishing website. We're also blocking any bot communication. So if there is something sitting on your phone and it's communicating out to a CNC server or a malicious server, we can block that. We've got a whole bunch of other things like URL filtering, safe browsing, HTTPS inspection, and man-in-the-middle attack as well. And we also have our dashboard. So our dashboard's really nice and easy to work with. So pushing out the app is very simple. You can, again, do it over SMS, or you can send out links, or you can get them to even download it from the store themselves. Once they add in some authentication tokens that you'll send out to your employees, that will hook into Threat Cloud and the dashboard very simply and easily. And then from there, you can get full, complete threat visibility over the phone. You get real-time risk assessments. You get granular policies for settings for organizations within or groups within your organization. And it's really that simple and easy to put together. I showed a customer the other day. It took me 5 minutes to go through the dashboard and explain everything, and it just makes sense. The other thing I mentioned that in the next slide next. So the thing is as well with SandBlast Mobile is we realized that, look, security on the mobile is one thing, and then actually managing it with everything else that you've got. So you've customers say, well, I've already got an MDM solution. And we're like, fantastic, we'll integrate with it. And with our integration, we can integrate with themes like ArcSight, and we've got full integration with ArcSight and RSysLog. We also got full integration with a lot of the MDM solutions out there, whether you're using mobile IN, or maybe you're using a Microsoft solution or a VMware solution. We will have integrations in there. So whatever we find on the device, we can report that back up to your MDM and make them be able to do the, or allow them to make their own decision on what should happen and enforce your company policy based on that MDM. So we can feed all of our intelligence back to that platform. And so these solutions work together really, really well. And then one of the last things I want to talk about today is around privacy by design. So we realized that when we talk to you about SandBlast Mobile, privacy is very key. So whether that be a BYOD device or a corporate device, we want to make sure that the information that we get and the information we look at is kept in or is kept private, and we have privacy built into this solution. So an example is when we're looking at some of the apps, we're not actually grabbing the app off the phone or taking information off your phone. We're actually looking at the hash of it. So that means that we're not actually pulling sensitive data off your phone. We're actually just looking at the hash values and a whole lot of other indications to tell us whether it's something that we've seen before and we can block. This means that everything is everything that we do is encrypted as well. And so this means that people can rest assured that if they have a BYOD device or a BYOD environment, that we're not going through their phone, we're not trying to pull out a whole lot of data that is sensitive to the user. We're making sure that it is private, it is encrypted, and that we're using the best standards out there to make sure that their privacy is not infringed upon while enforcing the best security as possible. And then we look at third-party validations. So if we look across the board from Gartner to Miacom to IDC, they all say that we've got the top solution out there for protecting you against the latest threats on your mobile device. So as you can see, Gartner gave us SandBlast Mobile the highest rating in 2018. We see IDC is saying we're the market leader in 2018 and 2019, and we scored the highest in the security effectiveness in all MTED solutions in 2019. So that's a pretty good wrapper, and we are absolutely smoking the competition when it comes to threat prevention on your mobile device. And we're proven and trusted. Just look at our accolades out here. So we've got people like Samsung. They make phones. We're helping them with their security. We've got the United States government on there. We've got a whole bunch of really cool companies that we're working with our security solution, and we're helping them secure their organizations. And there's actually, if you want to know any of these stories behind these companies, we can happy to talk to you more about how we actually helped these companies secure their environments. Okay, so to summarize, your mobile device is exposed out there and they've got your corporate data on there. Protecting against mobile threats is no longer optional. It's not oh, do I have a corporate device out there with some data on there? Yes, you definitely do. You have a device out there. They're accessing emails. You're accessing your corporate data. You need to be able to protect it. Everything's going beyond the perimeter. You need to be able to enforce security on every single endpoint that you have. And SandBlast Mobile is probably the right tool for you. If you're using an MDM now, this is a great add-on to it to add threat prevention. Or if you haven't even really thought about mobile security, we're happy to talk to you more about mobile security and how we can help you. And there are a couple of steps here that we can actually help you with. So one is you can actually download a free app, and we'll go to a free website called checkitapp.cloud, and you can actually analyze your current mobile environment. Really cool. On the fly, get it done within about 10 minutes, or actually less than that, only a couple of minutes. 2, you can talk to us about a SandBlast mobile trial. We will happily work with you and your customers, partners, and we'll help set up proof of concepts and trials, and we'll show you the value of SandBlast Mobile and what we can pick up and how we can secure you more. And so with that, I'd like to thank you. If you've got any questions, feel free to chuck them in the chat. Me and Reza will try to answer those for you. If you're interested in a trial, or you just want to have a little inquiry about the product, feel free to contact Westcon or Checkpoint, and we're happy to help you out there. But with that, I'll hand that back to you, Reza.
Hey, thanks a lot, Brent. Not sure if you have visibility of the Q&A section, but we have actually got a question come through to you.
Okay.
The question out.
I cannot see it right now. Let me see if I can find it.
If you want, I can read it out to you, or whatever's easiest for you.
Okay, let's have a look at some of these questions that we've got here. Most folks use MS corporate mail on their phone. Why not rely on the MS Microsoft protections alone? So I think you're referring to the Microsoft-based solutions for the email side of it with URLs. So yeah, so if you are using a Microsoft corporate account on your phone, you might have some inbuilt protections there. So you might have an E5 or an E3 license that has a whole lot of things like safe links and safe attachments as well. And that's great for the mobile, but for your email. And we have solutions that can actually help you increase that security on your mobile side, on your email side. But there's also a lot of other vectors that they won't cover. So they won't cover things like SMS or URLs that are sent not via email, so via text or WhatsApp or any other messaging app or any other app out there that people can send you links through. Those won't be protected. You also won't be protected for man-in-the-middle attacks. If they're starting to strip the encryption out of it, yeah, that's so Brett. Yeah, you get it. It's hard. It's a hard sell to Kiwis sometimes. But yeah, we believe that we do have a great solution out there. And look, the proof will be in the pudding. So if you're anyone out there wanting a free trial of this, or even having a POC of some sort, we're happy to jump in and try to show you the value of SandBlast Mobile. But yeah. Cool. I think that's the only questions we've got so far from Brent. So yeah. Okay.
So if there's not any further questions, I'd just like to thank Ben for his time, and thank you all also for your time and attending. Hopefully you've learned a lot and we can take away a lot from this. Please do remember to join us in 2 days' time for the final session that we have, which will basically summarize everything we've talked about and how we can help build a bundle which utilizes each of these 3 aspects of the solution that we've been speaking about last month. Other than that, thank you again for your time, and hope you have enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Thank you. Bye-bye.